Right now.
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 Right.
Right now.
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 Because it's time to write now.
Right 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 now.
Right.
Right now.
Right now. Right now.
Right now.
Right now. And we are live. Welcome to another daily writing stream where I'm going to take you behind my process of a third draft. I do a live reading and a line edit so I can show you what I'm doing as I'm going line by line, improving style and adjusting words before sending off this part of the book to beta readers. So let's get into it. And by the way, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Kaufman, daily writing streamer, 740 consecutive streams and counting, and many, many more. So let's do it. Let's get into it because I have a May 15th publication deadline to hit. All right. And as you can see, I already have my setup here. I gotta mess with the mic. All right, make sure. Is that good? Okay, so let's see. So like I said, so this is actually a really crazy chapter. Oh man, last night we did the Tiger King episode and it was, or the Tiger King chapter. It was a pretty good chapter actually. The Tiger King chapter, the last one where I introduced the midpoint antagonist, going back through it, I'm like, wow, it was fire. It does a really good job of introducing the Tiger King. I'm like, yes. So now, chapter 25, as the stakes are about to get raised, as Scarecrow, we basically set the stage. So Scarecrow has been captured. He's been collared along with all these other animals. He's made allies with Gore the Grizzly and the Cobra King. But they're about to be forced into a Coliseum fight to the death. Who's going to survive? What's going to happen? This chapter is crazy. All the while, his friends, Mr. Crow and Pebble, with their little groups of helpers, are trying to figure out how to save Scarecrow. So let's get into it. Let's just see what we see. Chapter 25, Fight of the First. Scarecrow faltered, overlooking the arena. Intricate, flowing designs of carnage and destruction were carved into the stone exterior. The stone interior. On the second level, wooden spikes and statues littered with bloodied animal hides frowned down upon them. Let's see, on the second level, wooden spikes and statues. On the second level, wooden spikes and statues with bloodied animal hides. Okay. Spikes and statues. Nah, I like that. So on the second level, wooden spikes and statues littered with bloodied animal hides frowned down upon them. Frowned down on them. On the second level, wooden spikes and statues littered with bloodied animal hides frowned down on them with warning and despair. No, I think I like that. I think I do like that. All right, so let's see what we see. He stumbled down, let's see. So Scarecrow faltered, overlooking the arena. Intricate, flowing designs of carnage and destruction were carved into the stone interior. On the second level, wooden spikes and statues littered with bloodied animal hides frowned down on them with warning and despair. The ominous, clear sky beckoned from the open-top dome overhead. The ominous, clear sky beckoned from the open-topped dome overhead. He stumbled down a steep dirt slope leading to the ground floor, nearly tripping over a crude shovel adorned with tiny spikes. Pausing to inspect the dim metal, his reflection showed specks of the wolf's blood splattered across his face. Was this arena going to be his end? Many crude weapons lay scattered about: axes with ropes, picks with curves, makeshift staves, hammer daggers, stone swords, and what was with the giant bull on the raised dais? Keep going, Gore muttered, passing by and nudging him to follow. Stop drawing attention. The grizzly also swatted at his hand. And no wiping the blood off. You'll need it. You will need it. You're going to need it. And no wiping the blood off. You're going to need it. It's not right, Scarecrow cried, stopping and turning around. That wolf is dead, Gore said without missing a step. And if you want the robot or the doll's death to be meaningless, stand and die. Scarecrow gazed at his friend, expression hardening. He didn't realize Gore had been listening to his stories. The last robot, Cloth. Nodding, he followed in step. As they walked the length of the arena, one of the two large double doors swung open, and various keys swung out from the rafters, ushering out countless prisoners. Smaller ones like the mouse, the porcupine, the badger, and even the bristle-tailed squirrel shuffled about, wide-eyed in all directions. Moderate-sized species like the yellow-eyed hyena rolled around with bouts of laughter, or the striped zebra, who charged forward with the red-eyed salamander hiding within its mane, and the ringed tail of the raccoon sticking out from atop its back. Threading between hooves and paws, a thinly gaunt weasel squirmed about, draped in rags, while an erratic platypus plopped along nearby, its tiny eyes darting aside as it chewed on things unseen. A thick gray trunk emerged from the shadows, ground trembling at each step of the weathered elephant, head still covered by a bucket. A furry, wild-eyed wildebeest leapt from the doors, snapping at the golden-spotted jaguar, who snarled in response, nearly clawing back if it weren't for the sharp hoots of the keys swinging nearby. Flying from above, the majestic white-rimmed eagle flew alongside a dark, fuzzy, great-horned owl, their eyes scanning all. Growls, howls, yowls, beats, roars, and squeals filled the space. All shapes and sizes shuffled out. Giraffe, sloth, horse, armadillo, and even the trembling white tail feathers of a chicken poked out from amidst the herd. Countless other animals burst through the door as the massive arena, once empty, became full and crowded. Black obsidian collars glinted ominously around each prisoner's neck, marking a shared fate, while the hoots of the keys kept them marching forward. Scarecrow was pulled aside atop a dune of sand. The ground of the arena, while not only littered with crude weapons, also had shifting terrains. Hardened rock and dirt patches, sand dunes, grassy knolls, holes of mud, even bits of ice glinted in the daylight. King's familiar rattle echoed nearby, sliding between them. A praying mantis perched atop his head. We've introduced mantis, so the praying mantis perched atop his head like a warrior preparing for the onslaught. Gore snorted but said nothing. He motioned towards the closest animals, but King shook his head. A roar of hoots circled the arena. Keys of all shapes and sizes swung out from poles, holes, and rafters above. Many took up positions amongst the pillars of the second level. Many took positions among the pillars of the second level, or even hung onto crevices in the walls. The black-tufted primate, the black-tufted primate, the whip, leapt from the hole in the armory, landing with a thunderous slam atop the center dais. Held in either trembling hand was a gemstone, one gray, one orange. The glows intensified with each step, as a crowded arena of prisoners, some in groups, some solo, and some wandering wearily, turned towards him. Ooh. Ooh, so good. Hey, what's up, John? Welcome, my friend. It's Scarecrow, right there. Grab him, hurry, Pebble yelped, tapping the dragonkin's side relentlessly. We move, sky camouflage gone. Let's see. I've already introduced that the dragonkin can speak telepathically. The dragonkin's words with "we move, sky camouflage gone." The dragonkin's words slid into her mind with ease. Mother forbid if we have to flee the clouds. Fly down, monkeys, stop us. We have wings. You do? Pebble crossed her arms, muttering, "Dumb dragonkin." He was right, burn it. She slid over, preparing for the jump anyway. Essence stones, concerning. Pebble flicked her temple for having tunnel vision. Dumb Scarecrow was wearing off on her. One of the large black monkeys gripped 2 gemstones, a fiery orange citrine magnified against a terse silver moonstone. Why those 2 gemstones, and what do they mean? Why those 2 gemstones? Why those 2 gemstones specifically? She knuckled her head. Remember, you dumb pixie. A second figure leapt from the outer edge of the arena onto the dais. A tiger whose majestic tail swung to and fro, landed with a thud, but even from this height, the animal's bravado was obvious. Those who wish to flee, commanded the tiger, do so now. His challenge echoed for miles, accompanied by harsh laughter and the hooting of monkeys. Oh yeah, and I didn't think that at all. I appreciate you hanging out. I'm telling you, John, this chapter's about to get crazy. This calls him fight is crazy bananas. Oh, you're right. That's actually a good one. That's a good call. I think this should probably be italicized because then this kind of in response to that. Good call. The activity amongst the animals was restless, but 2 birds darted skyward. Gold scales dropped. Yeah, it's an inner dialogue. Mm-hmm. The activity amongst the animals was restless, but 2 birds darted skyward. Gold scales dropped them out of the sky. Gold scales dropped them out of the cloud, causing the pixie to nearly lose her balance and cling on tightly. Gold scales dropped them out of the cloud. Okay, so the activity amongst the animals was restless, but 2 birds darted skyward in a vain attempt for freedom. But 2 birds darted skyward in an attempt for freedom. Gold scales dropped them out of the cloud, causing Pebble to nearly lose her balance, clinging on tightly. Friends of Sky, help we must. Pebble gripped his mane, squeezing at the tufts of hair tickling her nose. Now you want to help? Roars, howls, and cheers echoed from down below as the 2 birds, a majestic eagle and a white-rimmed owl, circled one another, flying higher and higher. Below, the gemstones were clashed together and tossed into the brazier. The clap of thunder ripped through the air, striking a chord in her memories. She gasped. An aura, like the one dear old brother had shown her. Goldscales halted his descent. I'll go. The gold dragonkin halted his descent. The brazier's bowl glowed hues of vibrant orange and a shimmering gray light, becoming energy as it intensified and shot skyward, directly at them. Pebbles screamed as the dragonkin rolled over, maneuvering back into a cloud. Maneuvering them back into a cloud. The beam stopped just beneath them, coalescing into a transparent orange barrier, infused with strands of gray light. The dome spread out, shooting in all directions. The birds tried halting their ascent as the eagle slammed into the barrier within. As the eagle slammed into the barrier's interior, crashing into the owl and falling. The ground level became a blur within the aura's barrier. My sisters. I can't feel them, Goldscales roared. Moonstones blocked traversal, Pebs. Recalling her brother's words, Pebbles' eyes watered. They were trapped here once. They were trapped here once. She had been trapped here once. Moonstones block traversal, Pebs. Recalling her brother's words, Pebbles' eyes watered. They were trapped here once. She had been trapped here once. What happened to her? What happened? What happened? What happened to them? Let's go. Let's type that up. Words. Forgotten, long forgotten words clicked in her mind. Long forgotten words clicked in her mind. Moonstones blocked traversal, Pebs. Recalling her brother's words, Pebbles' eyes watered. They were trapped here once. She had been trapped here once. What happened to them? She blinked. Helpless Scarecrow was trapped, and now the other dragonkin were as well. All right, so we set up Pebble, which is cool. the arc of animal. You're about to see. We'll see how many of these animals survive this for the arc. then we're missing Noah too, right? All right, and now so we've set up Pebble. Pebble and the dragonkin are stuck outside of the barrier. Now let's go check in on Mr. Crow. Operation Eyes in the Sky is a go! The otter yipped with laughter from atop Mr. Crow's back as they soared parallel to the ground. Air rushed past his wings as the bushy-tailed one kept pace. An orange light sliced down from above, cutting through clouds and sky alike. The ramshackle of a coliseum towered before them, pesky and unfaltering. Angling right, he gripped the squirrel by the nape of her neck and beelined for the wall. The three of them skidded along the rock and sand as the wall light slammed into the earth behind them, cutting off the outer world with a grayish-orange blur. Sliding across the ground, they veered into a dune of crash! Sand. He ate until his head was unburied. Took you long enough, said the cold-hardened voice of the smelly one, leaning against the nearby wall beside a carved-out hole. Arms crossed, she stared at the sky. He was picked up and plopped onto his feet by the otter as she brushed specks of sand off him, which he ate anyways. Let's go. Mr. Crow doesn't remember their names right now. He was picked up and plopped onto his feet by the wet one as she brushed specks of sand off him, which he ate anyway. Let's see. We are not referring to them by animals. The wet one yipped. The wet one yipped with laughter from atop Mr. Crow's back. Okay. He was picked up and plopped onto his feet by the wet one as she brushed specks of sand off him, which he ate anyway. Nice of you to show up, the bushy-tailed one muttered. Interjecting with a sigh, the smelly one retorted. You want answers or your loved one? She rubbed the hilt of the sheathed blade at her back, with a curt nod, motioning to the hole. She rubbed the hilt of the sheathed blade at her back, with a curt nod, motioning to the hole. The bushy-tailed one shook sand off and scurried inside. Something smelled familiar. Well, I guess you're about to find out. You're gonna have to hear the chapter to the end to tell me if it feels middle grade or YA. I know why you're saying that because there's specific word choice and specific references that make it feel like that. Part of it's the character POV. Let's see. Something smelled familiar. But I would love, John, I would love if there's any specific like moments or things that make it feel middle grade or YA. I would totally love to know. Right? I'm actually very curious to see. I think that I know, but I'm curious what things are sticking out to you that make it feel like that. Because that type of feedback really helps me. And it tells me whether or not I'm achieving my goal or whether or not I'm missing the mark. Something smelled familiar. He followed his nose to the hole, sniffing. Smells of many four legs wafted out amidst feathered ones. Burrow into the dark. Smell of more eyes. Close, needing assistance. Nest had holes. More cause and distance. More chirps for food. Keep crawling. He find food. Find the eyes. All right, so that is Mr. Crow. I think we can fix that. He followed his nose to the hole, sniffing. Smells of many forelegs wafted out amidst feathered ones. He burrowed into the dark. Smell of more eyes. Close, needing assistance. Nest had holes. More cause echoed. More cause rang out in the distance. Younglings once cawed for assistance. Keep crawling. Crow find food. Find food. Find the eyes. Find food. Save the eyes. All right, so let's see. So something smelled familiar. He followed his nose to the hole, sniffing. Let's go with this. Something smelled familiar. He followed his nose to the hole, sniffing. Smells of many forelegs wafted out amidst feathered ones. He burrowed into the dark. Smell of more eyes. Close, needing assistance. Nest had holes. More cars rang out in the distance. Younglings once cawed for assistance. Keep crawling. Find food. Save the eyes. Already through the hole, he looked up as Maisie held a finger to his beak. Escape is for the weak, roared a precocious tiger from the arena's center stage. Forelegs and their arrogance. Tiger eyes could be caught out. Forelegs and their arrogance. Tiger eyes could be caught out. He licked his beak. Crashing into a tuft of grass and skidding across the arena floor, across the arena toward them was an eagle. Eagle's dead. Frayed wings. Smartest no longer. He hopped forward. Sir Crow hopped forward. An owl flapped gently from above and hid amongst some forgettable land dwellers. Owls boring know-it-alls. Owls also dead. Know-it-all no longer. He crawled to the eagle, large silver eyes awash with pain. Its feathers ruffled, damaged, and graying. Turning its head, it mealed, looking at him, the collar around its neck turning a deep ember. Who dares collar? The last eagle. Crawling closer, he smacked headlong into a transparent wall. Lady Skunk stood above him, gently knocking on it, and shook her head. Audie picked him up, covered her eyes, and pointed out at the arena, a one-way wall separating fighters and spectators. Land dweller design figures. The eagle shook its head and hopped to attention. It looked at him, or did it? With chest puffed out and demeanor restored, it shook off the blood and turned away. Welcome, warriors, the precocious tiger roared, paws raised high. I am your tiger king. A collective hoot rang out from above. This collective hoot rang out from monkeys. No, I could just go from above. That's fine. Actually, a collective hoot rang out from all around the arena. This world is dying. He gestured to the sky. You are here to live. Laughter bounced around above. Kill. Laughter bounced around the arena. Kill, survive, and reward. He hopped off the stadium, walking between a. He hopped off the. Does that stadium? He walked off the dais. He hopped off the dais, walking between a hissing lizard and a feeble little goat. Food. He leaned down near a proud jaguar. Protection. He whispered to a group of rodents. And glory. From atop the stage, a gorilla pronounced. First 10 to die, end the fight. End the first fight, unless, pointing at the sky, the moon's dial reaches nigh. Reaches overhead. Reaches overhead. From atop the stage, from atop the dais, a gorilla pronounced, first 10 to die, end the fight. End the first fight, unless, pointing at the sky, pointing at the sky, the moon's dial reaches overhead. Then we finish the job, the precocious tiger roared, laughing. Roars of booing and hissing. Don't think we need this last one. Roars of booing and hissing erupted from the collective animals. Shoving them aside, Maisie pressed the skunk against the wall, growling, If my husband dies out here, then why did I hire you? Audie reached a hand around and lifted the squirrel's fingers off Lady Skunk with a gentle smile. Only the weak perish first. Without moving, the skunk whispered, He'll grab a weapon if he's smart. A nearby ox, weapon in mouth. Lunged for the closest key. The monkey swiped a hand midair as the ox tensed up for no visible reason and collapsed to the ground, shaking. Death meets acceptance, Sir Crow stated resolutely, staring into the quivering oxen's eyes, like silvering eagle eyes. Whose eyes did he miss? Truer words never spoken. Truer words were never spoken, Audie agreed. Sir Crow the Third, he retorted proudly. Truer words were never spoken, Sir Crow. Audie agreed. Sir Crow the Third, he retorted proudly. The third. His namesake? 3 of something. 3 of what? 3 of a kind. 3 eyes. Sir Crow the Third, he retorted proudly. The third. His namesake. The third. His namesake? 3 of something. 3 of what? 3 of a kind? 3 of eyes. Audie leaned against Maisie and tapped on Lady Skunk's sword with her wand, dark and light energy momentarily flickering from the 2 weapons. Now, let me see. Audie leaned against Maisie and tapped on Lady Skunk's sword with her wand. Dark and light energy momentarily flickered from the 2 weapons. Dark and light energy momentarily flickered between the 2 weapons. As promised, flashing a cheesy smile, we'll protect the little rascal, right, m'lady? The skunk snorted with an eye roll. A loud screech roared amongst the collared animals as a lone wildebeest charged, using a nearby horse as a ramp to dive in the air and ram full force into the silly little tiger. Many of the animals tensed up, roars interspersed with howls, hoots, and cries. The tiger rose from beneath the wildebeest, his laughter booming. He lifted the flailing animal off the ground as if it were nothing. Weakness deserves death, Sir Crow the Third cawed. The monarch's muscles bulged, the crown trembling atop his head. As he settled into a deep stance, lifted the screeching animal higher, high, lifting this. The monarch's muscles bulged, the crown trembling atop his head. As he settled into a deep stance, lifted the screeching animal up high and tore it in half. Blood rained upon him, splattering everywhere. Blood, death, 3 eyes. Turning his attention to the far corner of the arena where Strawberry stood, he called, "Save the younglings!" Turning his attention to the far corner of the arena, he spotted Strawberry. "Save the younglings," he called, getting worked up as "Save the younglings," he called, getting worked up as he pressed his beak against the wall. He saved the younglings, he called, getting worked up as he tapped his beak against the wall. Chants echoed from all corners of the arena. Fight, fight, fight. A deafening drumbeat of fists hammering against chests echoed above all. Oh my goodness, it's the fight. I hope the fight still sounds good. I guess we're about to find out. Let's see. So you said some of the adjectives and adverbs are youthful, if you get what I'm saying. The dialogue is youthful, but that could be because it's coming from animals. Okay, I could see that. Some of the adjectives and adverbs. Okay. That's actually that's really good to know, John. I appreciate that feedback. So I mean, like right now, the story's about to go. Well, the first quarter of the story is in the hands of beta readers. So right now, I'm getting the second act of the story because it's a 4-act story into the hands of beta readers as well before it goes to an editor. I think I'll probably make sure to get multiple feedback, and that's been something that's been on my mind as well. So I'll probably include that as like a feedback question. And like, what does it feel like it matches the genre of dark fantasy action adventure? So a really good call out. Yeah, the dialogue is like, it's interesting because the dialogue for like Mr. Crow does come across very, very youth. It's like a mix between the characters. Scarecrow is very intentionally like glass half full, very hopeful. But yeah, so that's actually really good feedback. Hey, what's up, Jackie? Hi, dropping in for the company. I have you on the while I'm writing. Appreciate you dropping by, my friend. Hopefully we're going to be able to get some good writing vibes done today. And now, time for the crazy fight scene. Oh man, I hope it came out as good as as good as I hoped it did last time. This fight scene. All right, let's see how it came out. Paws scurried, hooves stomped, howls intermingled with chirps, bleats with roars, snorts with screeches. Fight now, the Tiger King roared, arms crossed beside the whip, spectating from atop the dais. Scarecrow looked around warily. The barrier entrapping them magnified the sun's light, making the arena brighter, more prominent and lifelike. And like them, some prisoners formed allies. On one side, the grizzly Gore stood tall. On one side, Gore stood tall, chest puffed out. On the other, King rose to his full height. No, we'll stick with grizzly for now. That's better imagery. On one side, the grizzly stood tall, chest puffed out. On the other, the cobra rose to its full height. Scarecrow, stay! Gore roared above the noise, rage etched across his face as the three of them and the tiny mantis maintained their position around the dune. He wheezed as a thin wooden pole with a metal hook Possibly a scythe was pressed against his chest. Scarecrow, scare, King hissed. Even the praying mantis atop his head readied for the strike. Readied for the strike. Readied for a strike. Readied to strike. I think we gotta do Scarecrow wheezed. Okay. Scarecrow wheezed as a thin wooden pole with a metal hook, possibly a scythe, was pressed against his chest. Scarecrow, scare, King hissed. Even the praying mantis atop the cobra's head, ready to strike. Hey, what's up, no? A first strike came from afar. The golden-spotted jaguar dashed at the yellow-eyed hyena, who rolled around, cackling. Their movements were a blur. Two specks of yellow chasing, diving, and rolling around like a game of cat and mouse. Even the four sets of eyes hiding within nearby tufts of grass looked on, wide-eyed and enamored. Gore roared at a roaring bull, three horns pointed and charging straight for them. The grizzly leapt forward, claws extended, forcing the animal to skid to a halt, bellow, and turn tail. We won't stay this lucky, he muttered, returning to their formation against the dune. Cowards and predators, King hissed, glaring at the keys above, hooting for their destruction. Near a pile of rocks, a warthog rammed into the wall as an armadillo rolled out from underneath, knocking its leg out and spinning away fiercely. A gigantic hairy foot crashed down upon the armored animal. The foot's owner, a mammoth, with fur, tusks, and a glare that could shatter stone, somehow blended into the wall. Eyes connecting, Scarecrow looked away, gulping. The sky, and I'll watch you. Grabbing him by the chin and forcing him to look up, Gore commanded, You, Sky, watch. The sky, and I'll watch you, the grizzly cried. Grabbing him by the chin and forcing him to look up, Gore commanded. You, Sky, watch. And if we're attacked, what can we do? Scarecrow stuttered. What we must, Gore finished, smoldering. King, you have the count. 15 deaths, and I have the kill. Okay, I changed this to 15 deaths. I think I said 10 deaths. All right, I have to go fix that real fast. I'm going to say it was during the crow bit. All right, here we go. First 15. I think I did 10, but I was like 15. Sounds a little bit. First 15 to die. All right, how to go fix that. Where were we? All right, so we'll go back to the beginning of that particular beat. The sky, and I'll watch you, the grizzly cried, grabbing him by the chin. Grabbing him by the chin and forcing him to look up. Grabbing a Scarecrow by the chin and forcing him to look up. Grabbing Scarecrow by the chin and forcing him to look up, Gore commanded. You, Sky, watch. And if we're attacked, what can we do? Scarecrow stuttered. What we must, Gore finished, smoldering. King, you have the count. 15 deaths, and I have the kill. No, Scarecrow retorted. These animals, it's not their... The grizzly shoved him aside as the pitchfork flew through the air where he had been and plunged into the sand, wobbling. No more words. Watch, Gore screamed, turning his back and resuming a defensive stance. Near the center of the arena, the eagle and owl circled violently around a lion, paws blazing and swiping with each pounce. A squirrel, covered in blood, streaked past underneath, chased by a chicken who pecked at its tail with each hop. Their chase led into a patch of grass as a panda, small and mighty, rolled forth from the hiding spot and into the leg of a giraffe, who grunted with a shriek. A pair of fierce feet kicked through the air from a barking kangaroo, who sent the long-necked creature spiraling into a mud pit. A pair of feet kicked through the air from a barking kangaroo who sent the long-necked giraffe spiraling into a mud pit. An overwhelming sadness washed over Scarecrow while fumbling with the weapon. Animals biting, clawing, pounding, and thrusting at each other. An overwhelming sadness washed over Scarecrow while he fumbled. Fumbled with the weapon. Animals biting, clawing, pounding, and thrusting. How was anyone to survive this? The jaguar and hyena rushed by, nearly sending his hat flying as he gripped it tightly. Gore roared, King hissed. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted the horned tank of a rhinoceros, charging full force at the antlered juggernaut of a moose. An oinking pig slid across a stretch of ice and into the mandibles of a crocodile, who chomped with such ferocity that blood spewed everywhere. Yet, coming from nowhere, it was the sharp teeth of the garbed weasel that tore into the reptile's neck. With a trill of glee, it dashed away from a stampeding zebra, whose high-pitched barks preceded it. Riding atop, the red-eyed salamander clung on, with its tail wrapped around the raccoon, whose arm, now missing, bled profusely as, "Scarecrow, run!" The bucketed edge of the elephant charged at them, full fury. Looking either way, he leapt aside. He leapt aside. "Scarecrow, run!" The bucketed edge of the elephant charged at them, full fury. Looking either way, Scarecrow leapt aside. Scarecrow leapt aside as the behemoth plowed into the dune, sending sand everywhere. Sending a sand flying. No, everywhere's fine. Sending sand everywhere. Scarecrow leapt aside as the behemoth plowed into the dune. Sand flying. Sand scattering. Looking either way, Scarecrow leapt aside as the behemoth plowed into the dune, sand scattering. Rolling onto his back, he sat up quickly and fumbled around. The snake nowhere in sight. King nowhere in sight, while Gore recovered with a head shake. King was nowhere in sight, while Gore recovered with a head shake. A black-spotted wolverine lunged at the grizzly, forcing his friend to engage. The elephant plucked its bucketed head from the dune, shaking sand off and sniffing, trunk first in either direction. "Mr. Elephant, please, we don't have to fight," Scarecrow begged as the animal turned his way. Hot breath wafted over him, and a set of holes poked through the bottom of the bucket, bright red eyes glaring within. Taking a step back, he begged, "Please, let's just..." A harsh snort sent him stumbling back as his hat fluttered away. Dropping the weapon, he grabbed his head, breath quickening. The hat! His life! He looked everywhere, backing away. His chest pounded. Without the hat, what would he become? His attacker pushed him back. Each step rumbling the earth. Each step shaking, rumbling. Each step rumbling the earth, shaking the earth. His attacker pushed him back, each step shaking the earth. He couldn't become just a scarecrow. "I need the hat," he pleaded, but his attacker gave no ground. But the elephant gave no ground. Straw hats don't make the scarecrow. This one is leather. It's special. Straw hats don't make the scarecrow. This one is leather. It's special. Straw hats don't make the scarecrow. This one is straw leather. It's special. Hearing the, let's make that. The boy in the red beanie's words echoed in his mind. He fell to the ground, trembling. He would become nothing again. Would he become nothing again? Would he become nothing again? The beast lifted its gigantic feet into the air above him. He grabbed himself, shaking. "I'm more than just a scarecrow. I have to be," he muttered, looking not at the pad coming down upon him, but at his tattered jeans, straw sinew forearms. and stuffing bursting from various tears. He grabbed himself, shaking. "I'm just a scarecrow," he muttered. He grabbed himself, shaking. "I'm just a scarecrow." And let's fix this. He looked not at the pad coming down upon him, but at his tattered jeans, straw sinew forearms, and stuffing bursting from various tears. "I like living," he cried. A moose flung through the air into the elephant's head, sending them crashing against the wall. 2 keys fell to the ground, hooting at each other, throwing jabs and getting into a fistfight of their own. None of that mattered. Scarecrow looked everywhere for the hat. He felt his movement slowing. This was his end, becoming nothing again. He felt himself slowing down. Scarecrow looked everywhere for the hat. Vision blurring. Vision blurred. Hands. He felt his movement slowing. Hands trembling. Hands trembling. Scarecrow looked none of that mattered. Scarecrow looked everywhere for the hat. Vision blurred. He felt his movements slowing. He felt his movements slowing. Hands trembling. This was his end. Becoming nothing again. He felt himself slowing down. This was his end. Becoming nothing again. Slowing down. Falling onto his stomach, he crawled, spotting it near the sand, dragging himself forward, reaching, no lunging. Let's see, we can fix that. Spotting it near the sand, he dragged himself forward. Reaching, no lunging. Glancing sideways, he gasped. All right, so we have Scarecrow's dealing with a bit of a panic attack. None of that mattered. Scarecrow looked everywhere for the hat. Vision blurred. He felt his movement slowing, hands trembling. This was his end. Becoming nothing again. Slowing down. Becoming nothing again. Slowing down. Falling onto his stomach, he crawled. Spotting it near the sand, he dragged himself forward, reaching, no lunging. Glancing sideways, he gasped. Bucket missing, the elephant's face revealed whiskers, fur, stubby eyes, ears, and cat-like eyes. It wasn't a predator's aggression that stared back at him. It was the pure terror of a singularly strange monstrosity. Bucket missing, the elephant's face revealed whiskers, fur, stubby ears, and cat-like eyes. It wasn't a predator's aggression that stared back at him. It was the pure terror of a singularly strange monstrosity. The beast screeched, swinging the trunk about wildly and pounding to its feet. The lifeless body of the moose bled out between them. Scarecrow's hat, his hat was just out of reach. The elephant's cat-like eyes glared at him. The chaos of the fighting ensued around them, but he lost himself in the fear of the beast's eyes, his insecurities matching. What if he was the last Scarecrow? Despite his rapid heartbeat, profuse sweating, and increased breathing, he reached for the bucket and rolled it to the catafalque. Eyes locked, the creature stared back at him with an ancient gaze that held the quiet weight of torment long forgotten. Its trunk sliced down through the air, as Scarecrow expected the end, but instead felt his hat drop loosely upon his head. He breathed a sigh of relief as the catafalque returned the bucket to its own head, and with one last look, stomped the ground near Scarecrow, dashing away to rejoin the fray. Wow. Oh, man. How does that actually work? Despite his rapid heartbeat, profuse sweating, and increased breathing, he reached for the bucket and rolled it to the catafalque. Eyes locked? I should probably say. I have to say, the elephant's cat-like eyes. Bucket missing, the elephant's face revealed whiskers, fur, stubby ears, and cat-like eyes. It wasn't a predator's aggression that stared back at him. It was the pure terror of a singularly strange monstrosity. A cataphont? Oh my goodness. The beast screeched, swinging the trunk about wildly and pounding to its feet. The lifeless body of the moose split out between them. His hat, Scarecrow's hat, was just out of reach. The elephant's cat-like ears glared at him. The chaos of the fighting ensued around them, but he lost himself in the fear of the beast's eyes. His insecurities his insecurities matching. The chaos of the fighting ensued around them, but he lost himself in the fear of the beast's eyes, his insecurities matching. Scarecrow's hat was just out of reach. The cataphont glared at him. The chaos of the fighting ensued around them, but he lost himself in the fear of the beast's eyes, his insecurities matching. What if he was the last Scarecrow? Despite his rapid heartbeat, profuse sweating, and increased breathing, he reached for the bucket and rolled it to the cataphont. Eyes locked, the creature stared back at him with an ancient gaze that held the quiet weight of torment long forgotten. Its trunk sliced down through the air, as Scarecrow expected the end, but instead felt its trunk sliced down through the air as Scarecrow expected the end, but instead felt his hat drop loosely upon his head. He breathed a sigh of relief as the cataphont returned the bucket to its own head, and with one last look, stomped the ground near Scarecrow, dashing away to rejoin the fray. Hey, welcome, Mama Maggie. This is the fun Coliseum scene. Having fun? Whispered King Sardonicus as he bounced on a blood-stained tail. Sitting motionlessly atop his head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged, blade tips stained with blood. A gust of sitting motionlessly atop his head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged, blade tips stained with blood. Blades in the shape of grass. Their tips stained with blood. Sitting motionlessly atop his head, the praying mantis sat sitting motionlessly atop his head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged. Blades in the shape of grass, their tips stained with blood. Sitting motionlessly atop his head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged, holding blades in the shape of grass, their tips stained with blood. Their edges, their edges stained with blood. That's a good call out. Yeah, so sitting motionlessly atop his head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged. You need to add his before blades. Holding blades in the shape of gray. Yeah, I think you're right. Sitting motionlessly atop his head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged, holding blades. Sitting motionlessly atop, then let's go the cobra. So sitting motionlessly atop the cobra's head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged. Let's go whispered the cobra's sardonic hiss, and then we'll change this sitting atop a king's head. We'll refer to the character's name. So, having fun, whispered the cobra's sardonic hiss as he bounced on a blood-stained tail, as the snake bounced on a blood-stained tail. Sitting motionlessly atop King's head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged, holding his blades in the shape of grass, their edges stained with blood. Thanks for that. I think that's good. Sitting motionlessly atop King's head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged, holding his blades. I think because I have holding, I don't think I need his now. Sitting motionlessly atop King's head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged, holding blades, because I think we've already denoted that it's his. I don't know, let's see if this works or not. Let's see. Having fun, whispered the cobra's sardonic hiss as it bounced on a bloodstained tail. Yeah, sitting motionlessly atop King's head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged. Because we're technically using sitting twice, and I think that's probably repetitive. So atop, let's go atop King's head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged and motionless, holding blades shaped like grass. Holding blades shaped like grass. Holding blades shaped like grass. Their edges stained with blood. Should it be stained? Because technically it's fresh. Stained. Their edges dripping. Their edges stained. No, I'm good with stained. All right, I think that's a little better. Having fun? Whispered the cobra's sardonic hiss as it bounced on a bloodstained tail. Atop King's head, the praying mantis sat cross-legged and motionless, holding blades shaped like grass, their edges stained with blood. A gust of wind pushed them back as the eagle swept by, pursued by the lion and in turn by the owl. Howls and roars echoed around the arena. A lone goat with black-tipped horns bleated at them and ran in the opposite direction as it tripped into a mound of dirt, dust rising. Shrieking like a banshee, a possum with a jagged stone broadsword rose above the dust, lifted up by the head of a giant turtle, black shell gleaming. The possum flipped forward, swinging the sword down upon the goat, who headbutted it aside as the turtle joined the fray. "This is madness!" Scarecrow huffed. "Move!" snapped a harsh voice like a chainsaw on gravel. Scarecrow flung himself against the wall as the jaguar dashed by, and a moment later, the rolling speed of dust must have been the hyena, laughter trailing like a plague of madness over the arena. "Thought it would be a picnic?" King hissed. Even the mantis opened one eye. Gore grunted, striding up beside them, paws drenched in blood, but otherwise unfazed. "Did you kill?" Scarecrow insinuated with a nod. "Kill or be killed." Over his shoulder, the wolverine twitched on the ground, and after a moment, it crawled away. "I hadn't the heart," Gore murmured. Stretch smacked the grizzly's face with his tail. "Fool! Looks at the lights!" "Oh, we don't need look. Look at the lights! If 15! Gore roared back as they argued. The darkened arena was partially shadowed by the tip of the moon, which eclipsed a quarter of the open-air dome. The darkened arena was partially shadowed by the tip of the now darkened arena. The now darkened arena was partially shadowed. The now darkened arena was partially shadowed by the tip of the moon, which eclipsed a quarter of the open-air dome. It wasn't dark yet, but time dragged on. The arena was chaos, with animals fighting, hiding, and running. Most had formed pairs or packs, while those not moving were playing dead, or just plain dead. Had 15 innocents met their end? "Scarecrow," Gore roared, shaking him fiercely. "Where's your weapon?" He gulped, looking around, distracted by the howls and shrieks. "Caw!" screeched the deafening cry of a bird. Scarecrow looked around, expecting Mr. Crow to fly out of nowhere, until the eagle nosedived into the wall above them. He trembled as the bird crashed and plummeted to the ground. Dashing aside, he held his arms out as the wounded eagle landed in his grasp, bleeding profusely. With one silver eye, the other shut and bleeding, it cawed weakly. Soar like eagle. Coughing up blood, spirit lives. Its feathers frayed. With one silver eye, the other shut and bleeding, it cawed weakly. Soar like eagle. Coughing up blood. Message pass. Spirit lives. Its feathers frayed, damaged, and some missing, flapped once and stopped moving as its head fell back, lifeless. Mr. Eagle? Scarecrow, whispered a soft voice like a forgotten melody. An overwhelming shiver ran down his spine. Standing motionlessly opposite the arena and staring at him was the boy in the red beanie. He blinked. No, it was Dr. Fox. He blinked. No, it was a pristine white leopard, fur untouched, eyes glowing. And looking out of place amidst the arena's chaos. Why did it feel familiar? No, it was a pristine white leopard, fur untouched, eyes glowing, and looking out of place amidst the arena's chaos. Why did it feel familiar? He shivered again. Startled, he jumped at Gore's paw on his shoulder. Mourn if we live. You said the eagles were proud. Scarecrow glanced back. Glanced back across the arena, but the leopard, or whatever it was, or whatever. But the leopard or whatever. Scarecrow glanced back across the arena, but the leopard was gone. He rubbed his eyes. He rubbed his eyes with one blood. He rubbed. Technically, he's still holding the eagle. He rubbed his eyes with the back of his fist while holding tightly to the dead bird. You said the eagles were proud. You said the eagles were proud. King whipped aside an incoming spear, sending it to the ground as a small animal plopped onto Scarecrow's head. He looked up into the black and white eyes of the badger, nose wrinkling with an audible sigh. It hugged the side of his hat. Scarecrow chuckled until a rush of air sent him stumbling sideways. A key landed on the other side of him. The key's short fur had grayed over completely, with colorless eyes, darkened and angry. Scarecrow chuckled until a rush of air sent him stumbling sideways. A key landed on the other side of him. The key's short fur had grayed over completely. The key's short fur had completely grayed over. Its colorless eyes darkened and angry. It fell out of place. It fell out of place. The badger crying was wrapped tightly in its tail. Let me make sure that works. You said the eagles were proud. You said the eagles were proud. King whipped aside an incoming spear, sending it to the ground as a small animal plopped onto Scarecrow's head. He looked up into the black and white eyes of the badger, nose wrinkling with an audible sigh of relief. It hugged the side of his hat. Scarecrow chuckled until a rush of air sent him stumbling sideways. A key landed on the other side of him. The key's short fur had completely grayed over, its colorless eyes darkened and angry. It fell out of place. The badger crying was wrapped tightly in the gray Key's tail. No! Scarecrow yelled as the gray key hooted at him and dashed away. He thrust the dead eagle into Gore's arms, shouting, "I won't let another innocent animal die." "Wait, we can't," echoed behind him as he gave chase. As a Scarecrow. "Wait, we can't," echoed behind him as he gave chase. King's hiss fading away beyond the cries of fighting. Scarecrow reached for the badger, its tiny, watery eyes hopeful, as the gray key screeched and dashed away across butting heads of the muddy giraffe and kangaroo, floundering around in a mud pit. He swerved around them, nearly taking a punch to the side as the two animals' fury went unnoticed. Mikhail, that's a good call out. Let's see, bleeding. Let's see, where was the bleeding? All right, you're right. It was the eagle death. You're absolutely right. Really good call out, McCare. As I bleed, I don't need bleeding twice. Dashing aside, he held his arms out as the wounded eagle landed in his grasp, bleeding profusely. With one silver eye, Dashing aside, he held his arms out as the wounded eagle landed in his grasp. Twitching. Let's go twitching profusely. With one silver eye, the other shut him bleeding. It caught weakly. Good call out, McCare. Hey, what's up, Emma? Hope all's treating you well. I'm in the middle of a really crazy chapter. All right, so we'll start at the beginning of this beat. Scarecrow is now chasing after the gray key who has basically taken this badger. As Scarecrow traces after him through this through all the fighting in the arena. "No!" Scarecrow yelled as the gray key hooted at him and dashed away. He thrust the dead eagle into Gore's arms, shouting, "I won't let another innocent animal die." "Wait, we can't," echoed behind him as he gave chase. King's hiss fading away beyond the cries of fighting. King's hiss fading away in the distance. Now we'll keep it beyond the cries of fighting. Scarecrow reached for the badger, its tiny, watery eyes hopeful, as the gray key screeched. Scarecrow reached for the badger, its tiny, watery eyes hopeful, as the gray key screeched back at him, and dashed away across butting heads of the muddy giraffe and kangaroo, floundering around in a mud pit. He swerved around them, nearly taking a punch to the side as the two animals' fury went unnoticed. Looking ahead, he leapt over a panda, pawing wildly at a sloth on the ground beneath him. Upon landing, the gray key tail whipped him in the face, turned sideways, and dove through a dune, the badger gargling. Not giving up the chase, Scarecrow plowed ahead. Sand flying past him as he stumbled to the ground. A bushy-tailed squirrel, limping, stumbled back, flailing its tiny arms vigorously as a lion pounced at it. A dark flash of light, like a blade given form, flung the tiger away and vanished. The squirrel looked to Scarecrow, confusion mixed with surprise. The gray key hooted and feigned biting motions at the badger. Lurching to his feet, Scarecrow leapt forward, not letting the helpless animal out of his sight, but the key clicked and ran away, threading between animals fighting. Not this time, he dashed forward, determined to give chase. Back to him, a weasel, arms raised against a platypus on one webbed foot, snarled. Back to him, a weasel, arms raised in a fighting stance. Back to him, a weasel, arms raised in a fighting stance against a platypus on one webbed foot, snarled. On the other side, a fire-eyed salamander spewed a tiny flame at an armadillo, who rebounded and rolled at a bleeding raccoon. Passing by, a neighing horse headbutted the barking zebra, their pacing evenly matched. Scarecrow jumped, dodged, and swerved, but still he pursued, the badger just out of arm's reach. He passed by a crying goat fighting alone, a porcupine, spikes flying madly, a jaguar tearing at the hyena, a lion pouncing at the rhino, animal on predator, prey on victim, fighter on aggressor. The coward, growled a deep, angry voice like shredded silk, is returned. A punch like a brick smacked across his face, sending him reeling into the closest wall. A punch like a brick smacked across Scarecrow's face, sending him reeling into the closest wall. The world spun around him. This world spun around as he coughed up dust. Trying to right himself, he rocked sideways. The glaring green, the glaring, what did I call that? Sickly green, the glaring sickly green, then rose red, then golden eyes glared down at him. We don't need glaring twice. Let's go. A pair of sickly green, shifting to rose red, then landing, then changing to golden, then changing to golden, to a golden glow glared down at him. A pair of sickly green, shifting to rose red, then changing to a golden glow. That's it. Let's go. A pair of sickly green eyes, shifting to rose red, then changing to a yellow, to a bright gold glared down at him. So a pair of sickly green eyes, shifting to rose red, then changing to a bright gold glared down at him. A cruel snicker chittered over him as the rabbit, as Cotton Ball brushed his paws off, laughing. With one hand, the rabbit caught the badger while shooing the gray key away, who leaped onto a nearby wall and swung. With one hand, the rabbit caught the badger while shooing the gray key back, who leapt on while shooing the gray key away, who leapt onto a nearby wall and swung away twice. With one hand, the rabbit caught the badger while shooing the gray key away. The key, the eyeless, or the gray animal chittered mindlessly before leaping onto a nearby wall and swinging away. With one hand, the rabbit caught the badger while shooing the gray key away. The gray animal chittered mindlessly before leaping onto a nearby wall and swinging away. I don't like to have away twice, but I'll allow it. No, he's innocent, Scarecrow cried. He's innocent, mocked the green-eyed rabbit. Mocked the green-eyed rabbit. Mocked the sickly, green-eyed rabbit as he shook the badger furiously. Scarecrow sprang to his feet, reaching for the helpless animal, as the rabbit kicked the back of his head, sending him back to the ground. Scarecrow sprang to his feet. Scarecrow sprung to his feet. Is it spring? Yeah. Scarecrow sprang to his feet, reaching for the helpless animal, as the rabbit kicked the back of his head, sending him back to the ground. Turning over, he brushed himself off as a clump of stuffing spewed out of a new chest wound. Ignoring it, he rose to his feet shakily. But you're not innocent, demon! The rabbit shrieked. Cotton Ball shrieked, tossing the badger at the wall. Die! The rabbit launched at him. Fists swinging wildly. Sidestepping, twisting, and leaning away, Scarecrow dodged the attacks, barely, his height giving him the advantage. Please, while jumping back from a round kick, let's talk. Scarecrow held up his hands passively. Finally, the rabbit let up his attack, pausing to take a knee, with eyes of pure white. With eyes of crystalline white, and looking to the sky, he muttered, "A vow I made." Eyes changing gray, he smacked himself. "I made." Eyes changing gray, he smacked himself. "I made, fool." Eyes changing gray, he smacked himself as his voice turned stone cold. "I made, fool." Eyes morphing gold, he sounded. Eyes morphing gold. His tone distant. Eyes morphing gold. His tone became distant and pristine. "We made." Finally, the rabbit let up his attack, pausing to take a knee. With eyes of crystalline white and looking to the sky, he muttered, "A vow I made." He muttered softly, "A vow I made." Eyes changing gray, he smacked himself as his voice turned stone cold. "I made, fool." Eyes morphing gold, his tone became distant and pristine. "We made." "That's good. What vow?" Scarecrow asked, trying to find words to calm the animal down. Scarecrow asked, trying to find words to calm him down. Let's try to calm the animal down. Should we go the rabbit to calm the rabbit down? Looking up at him with eyes of fire, he growled, Looking up at him, the golden eyes morphed. Looking up at him, the golden eyes morphed looking up at him, the golden eyes morphed into a golden red. With eyes of fire, Cotton Ball growled, "To kill the demon." Turning away, "No demons." Grabbing his chest. With eyes of fire, Cotton Ball growled, "To kill the demons." Turning away, "No demons." Grabbing his chest, his voice terrified. "Her demons. She promised." With tear-ridden eyes of blue, he cried. With tear-ridden eyes of blue, he cried, "I'm sorry, as a knight." Falling onto his back, he screamed, "Burn you! Blast you! Stone you!" Hunched over, the rabbit stopped moving, holding something glowing vibrantly. Holding something that glowed brightly. So we're doing a lot with our rabbit right now. Cotton Ball is definitely a crazed character. I'm working on adjusting and adding some different tonality to his different personas. And I'm seeing if it's working because it shifts so frequently within moments. I was trying to keep it all within one paragraph so it feels like it's this bit, but I think I'm going to have to change with each. I don't know. Looking up at him, the golden eyes morphed into a golden red. With eyes of fire, Cotton Ball growled, "To kill the demon." Turning away, "No demons." Grabbing his chest, his voice terrified. "Her demons. She promised." With tear-ridden eyes of blue, he looked up. He looked up, crying. He looked up and cried. "I'm sorry, as a knight." Falling onto his back, he screamed, "Burn you!" Falling onto his back, He, falling on his back, voice, scratchy. Falling on his back, voice, scratchy. Voice, becoming, a tone becoming scratchy. He screamed. He roared. He screamed. Falling onto his back, tone becoming scratchy, he screamed, "Burn you! Blast you! Stone you!" Hunched over, the rabbit's cotton ball stopped moving. I was like, I don't think I used it in there. No, we'll keep the rabbit. Hunched over, the rabbit stopped moving, holding something that glowed brightly. "Are you all right?" Scarecrow asked, leaning down. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Gore rush in to tackle the rabbit. He saw Gore rush in to tackle Cotton Ball. The crazed animal smashed a gem into the earth, which dissolved a patch of dirt as he retrieved a sharp metal blade. All right, let's make sure that makes sense. The crazed animal smashed a gem into the earth, which dissolved a patch of dirt as he retrieved a sharp metal blade. Let's make sure. That rose from the ground. The crazed animal smashed a gem into the earth, which dissolved a patch of dirt. He retrieved a sharp metal blaze that rose from the ground and swiped up. Catching the grizzly in the side, Gore roared and fell back, bleeding from the open wound. Rising to his feet with eyes of midnight, the rabbit pointed at Scarecrow, the blade's tip gleaming. Without looking away, the rabbit grabbed King midair. Without looking away, the rabbit grabbed Without looking away, the rabbit grabbed King midair, ending the cobra's surprise attack. Without looking away, the rabbit grabbed King midair, ending the cobra's surprise attack. King's green scales blackened around the rabbit's touch. Scarecrow reached forward, but the tip of the blade kept him at arm's length. "Pathetic," the rabbit said calmly. "Pathetic," Cotton Ball said calmly, as King flailed unchoked. "Ah!" the rabbit yelped, letting go of the cobra. A cut appeared across his cheek, reddening his short white fur and blood. On his shoulder, the praying mantis held two blades, poised for another attack. On his shoulder, the praying mantis held two grass blades, grass-like blades, poised for another attack. The rabbit snorted and blew the bug away. "You want to talk?" the rabbit cried, returning his attention to Scarecrow. "Let's talk," the rabbit chittered. "You want to talk?" the rabbit chittered, returning his attention to Scarecrow. "Let's talk." With eyes of magenta, he swung the sword up in a wide arc. The rabbit chittered, his voice regal, returning his attention to Scarecrow. "Let's talk." With eyes of magenta, he swung the sword in a wide arc. Scarecrow jumped back as pieces of straw tore loose from his stomach. "I'm not the enemy. I'm on a mission," he tried to say before diving sideways to avoid another blade swipe. Now equipped, the crazed animal sneered as he stepped forward in pursuit. Scarecrow tried to block the sword as a piece of his forearm tore, stuffing bursting out. The rabbit stopped, fell onto his back, and kicked forward, feet first, sending Scarecrow to crash against the wall. Scarecrow rolled to the ground, world spinning. He shook his head, focus. While approaching him and without looking, the rabbit jabbed. He shook his head, trying to focus. While approaching him and without shook his head, trying to focus. While approaching him and without looking, the rabbit jabbed the blade in the air, catching a wolverine in the chest. Another surprise attack failed, Another surprise attack failed. The animal gargled as it slid down the blade. With a simple sword flick, the rabbit flung the dying animal away. The dying, what was it? The wolverine, right? With a simple sword flick, the rabbit flung the dying wolverine away as it rolled into a nearby panda and a sloth, flailing blindly. Scarecrow tried to stand up, but the rabbit pushed him back down, gently pressing the blade against his chest. "You're my enemy." Spitting blood on the ground, he chittered, "Only demons protect monsters." The rabbit grabbed Scarecrow by the throat, raising him to eye level. "Weakness is damnation." The color of his eyes shifted from red to orange to yellow and back to red again. Pure anger raged across his face. He swung his sword arm back. All right, I'm going to add a slight bit here because we made an edit early in the chapter. "But you said you saw the scarecrows. We don't need a fight," Scarecrow cried. Conball paused. His eyes turning. Pink. His eyes shifting into a light pink. His hands trembled. He opened his mouth to speak. Only uttering one word softly. "Friends." The color of his eyes then shifted from he shook. Conball shook as the color of his eyes shifted from red to orange to yellow, then back to red. "Shut up, Conball. Shut up," the rabbit shrieked. All right, so I had to add that this little bit here because we were making some adjustments. So, "You're my enemy." Spitting blood on the ground, he chittered. "Only demons protect monsters." The rabbit grabbed Scarecrow by the throat, raising him to eye level. "Weakness is damnation." "But you said you saw the scarecrows. We don't need a fight," Scarecrow cried. Arms raised. Conball paused, his eyes shifting into a light pink. His hands trembled. He opened his mouth to speak, only uttering one word softly. "Friends." Conball shook as the color of his eye shifted from red to orange to yellow, then back to red. "Shut up, Conball!" the rabbit shrieked at himself. Pure anger raged across his face. He swung his sword arm back, lifting the blade for a final strike. Scarecrow clawed at the rabbit's paw, tightening around his neck. He gasped for air. Like a bullet, the blade pierced through the air. We don't know what a bullet is. He gasped for breath. He gasped for air. The blade pierced. He gasped for breath. Scarecrow clawed at the rabbit's paw, tightening around his neck. He gasped for breath. The blade pierced through the air, coming straight at his chest. A tiny, brilliant white light, like a wand-given shape, flashed into existence, a beacon between them, rebounding the attack before vanishing. The sword clattered away. Confused and enraged, the crazed rabbit, eyes shifting between too many colors to keep track of, screamed. Flinging his head back, he opened his mouth wide, teeth glaring. Can teeth glare? Okay. Flinging his head back, he opened his mouth wide, teeth glaring, and brought his mouth down to chomp at Scarecrow's throat. Before Scarecrow could scream, "Round! End!" echoed throughout the Colosseum, accompanied by the intense, burning sensation that radiated from his collar. He fell to the ground alongside Conball, alongside the rabbit, alongside Conball. He scraped at his neck, choking, breathing, floundering, lying in the dirt across from him. Conball, with one crimson red eye open. Lying in the dirt across from him, Conball, with one crimson red eye cracked open, gritted through the agony. Next round, dead, Scarecrow. Pain, burning, spinning. The Colosseum faded away. Whew, man, that is teeth glinting. Man. Man. Wow. Teeth glinting. Yeah, I think glinting can work. Teeth glinting. Oh man. Oof. Oh man. Our crazed little Conball. Man. The Colosseum fight. Ooh, that's a good question. That is a good question. That's actually a really good question. That's a good question, actually. I'm thinking teeth stained as red as his eyes. Yeah, it's actually a really good call. I'm asking myself if he's been fighting nonstop throughout the first half of the fight, or if he was in a bit more of a daze. Um, because I don't really, I intentionally don't reference him. Um, he was referenced in the last chapter very much so. So like we know he's there, but since the fight started, I intentionally didn't reference him at all because I wanted the reader to temporarily to forget about him. Um, but I'm thinking like, what would he have done? I guess he probably was fighting. I mean, yeah, I mean that probably would be a good. Flinging his head back, he opened his mouth wide, teeth stained red. Teeth stained as blood red as his eyes. Flinging his head back, he opened his mouth wide, teeth stained crimson. Teeth stained as crimson as his eyes. Teeth stained as bloodied. Teeth bloodied. Teeth stained as bloody as his eyes. Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Rabbit loves violence. Cotton Ball seems less so inclined. I know, the true Cotton Ball. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Flinging his head back, he opened his mouth wide. Teeth stained. Teeth just as bloody as his eyes. Teeth um, stained as crimson. Teeth stained as crimson as his eyes. Hmm. 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 Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I think I like that one slightly better. Flinging his head back, he opened his mouth wide, white fur and teeth stained crimson with blood. Flinging his head back, he opened his mouth wide, white teeth and fur stained white teeth and fur stained crimson with blood. Flinging his head back, he opened his mouth wide, white teeth and fur stained crimson with blood. No. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's I know, right? Hmm. Nothing like a bloody rabbit maw trying to get you. Bring forward the holy hand grenade of Antioch. Ah, man. All right. Well, that is a chapter. So I am so glad I was able to get through that one. Um, I feel like that the Colosseum, we'll say the first Colosseum chapter is, once again, it came out really, really good. I'm really proud. I feel like I only had to make like some minor adjustments and edits throughout. It's a lot going on. This is a battle where there's a lot going on. So we'll have to see. I'll have to see once I get feedback from readers and then the editor. Um, if it's just how it feels, because it's intentionally meant to feel like this crazy battle. Um, a lot. There's a lot. Oh man! And then of course, chapter 26, the Great Escape. So that the next chapter, that'll be tomorrow. So very glad I was able to push through that. Oh yeah, I was like, woo! What a fun chapter. Well, I appreciate all y'all. Thanks for joining me. It looks like we did just under 2 hours today. Love the battle chapter even more than the carnivorous furniture chapter. Oh man, and that's really what I try to do. Like I try to there's just such crazy, like Act 2 has such crazy moments. It has a lot of crazy moments that you think like what the heck is happening? Like how is this even possible? And then the next one is even crazier than the last. So there's some great moments throughout Act 2. I like, it's so much fun. But this also brings me closer to the end of Act 2. And then it will be ready for readers. Let's see. That was Fight of the First. So that leaves us with 3 chapters left. Oof. God, last chapters be crazy, crazy bananas. So, everyone, thank you all so much for joining me today. I appreciate your feedback. It's been fun. I'm glad that first Coliseum fight chapter turned out the way that I intended it to. So, I'll be back tomorrow for another daily writing stream. Probably around the same time. We'll play it by year. But thank you all for joining me. Tap that like button if you got value out of the stream and help us show the algorithm that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends, I appreciate you. And today's Saturday, which means Chat Soul will be doing their chat write in the Discord. So if you're wanting to get some more writing in and you just want to hang out, it's super casual. It's a co-working session that Soul will do in the Discord. They'll be starting that in a bit. Come join us, and it'll be cool. So come join us in the Discord in just a bit. And unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. Words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers.
It's time to write
Now.
Sorry.
Right now, not right now, but right now. Read now, right now.